book is The Paradise War by Stephen Lyde. The main conflict in the book is Simon, a college student, escapes from our world and enters another. His friend Lewis follows him. Now Lewis has heard from a friend of his, like a wise professor who's kind of kooky but knows everything about that world, is telling him that if Simon is allowed to stay in Albion, it could damage it forever. So our argument is, should Simon leave or should Simon stay?
All right, if we could now have each team captain introduce themselves and their team, we would just, after that, we'll immediately get started with the affirmative main speaker. Stand up and then.
Hello, my name is Kai Stoller, and my team is going to be the affirmative side. I'm just going to introduce each one of them shortly, and then my opponent will do the same, and then we can begin. Okay, so my amplification speaker is Zeke Russell. Thank you. My rebuttal speaker is Natalia Bickford. Thank you. What I like to call my pathos polisher, Hattie Russell. And finally, our ethos architect, Hayden Johnson. Thank you. That is my team, and I will see you very shortly.
My name is Leah Johnson, and we will be arguing for the negative side. We have Izzy Bickford, our main speaker. We have Peyton Johnson and Sophia Spearing will be our rebuttal speaker, and Lillian Riggs. Thank you.
We don't have microphones, so we're going to need to really speak up, okay?
Okay.
No, that's not.
Are the judges ready? Is the timekeeper ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Begin.
Have you ever gone on a trip or vacation and wished it would never end? A moment that you could stay in forever. Now imagine a place where the beauty isn't destroyed by civilization, by corruption, by hate. What would you do to keep it that way? Now, we can all agree that the world of Albion is breathtaking, a vibrant paradise filled with the wonders unlike anything in our comparatively dull world. However, some believe that Simon should have remained in Albion and embraced the responsibility he took on, while others argue that he should have left and returned to our world. And that is the question before us today. Simon should have refused to leave Albion because choice creates obligation. He was not a bystander, and his absence accelerates decline. First, choice creates obligation. Something that is clearly irrefutable is that Simon entered Albion. Not out of necessity, no, but by choice. Bear with me, and you will see no grandiloquent claims needed. If a farmer buys land, does he not take responsibility to tend it? If a man marries, is he not now responsible for his wife? Choice creates responsibility. So, if Simon entered Albion by choice, and choice creates responsibility, then he is responsible for Albion and its future. Leaving would mean abandoning that responsibility. You could call leaving responsible, but it is not, because responsibility is not something you walk away from when it becomes difficult. You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You just as you don't abandon responsibility when it gets hard. Simon finally found a place where he was needed, where he was valued for his opinions, where he wasn't just a rich kid. Oxford is not his home, nor his responsibility. Albion showed him something that our world failed to teach, that being needed gives a responsibility to remain. Oxford failed in that regard because it didn't need him. Albion does. Second, he was not a bystander. We all know someone who never really participates, someone who just drifts through life. For most of his life, Simon was that person. Now, Lewis was different. He was studious. He was going places. If Lewis was on the fast track of life, Simon was on the lazy river. But all that changed the moment Simon stepped into Albion. He suddenly had a purpose, a hope, a destination always in mind. He became active in both the court and the militia. Whereas before, Simon would never show up for his classes, now he's the first one there, eager to participate, to learn, to one day lead. Simon was no longer on the sidelines. He became part of what was happening. And once you are a part of something, you cannot simply walk away. He became someone you could rely on, someone who was there to make decisions, hard ones, when others wouldn't. He became what Albion needed, not a spectator, but a participant, someone willing to step in, to lead, someone who could give Albion the stability it so desperately needed. Third, his absence accelerates decline. Albion is beautiful. Beautiful. It is a place untouched by corruption, by greed, by the decay that so often defines our own world. But beauty like that is fragile. It does not preserve itself. In times of conflict, every soul matters. The one advantage our world has is its advancement, its systems, its structure, its stability. Albion does not have that. Not yet, at least. For now, it is like a flower. Pretty, yes, but also delicate. If the wind is strong enough, it could tear it to shreds. But we can prevent that. Simon has knowledge that the rest of Albion lacks. He is, in fact, a sine qua non for its survival. Simon has knowledge that knowledge about preventing wars, about calculated risk, thousands upon thousands of years of history that teach us much more than a couple of songs ever could. Knowledge that could make Albion for the better. But if Simon leaves, so does the knowledge that could keep Albion in the golden age indefinitely. We don't need to resort to termagant arguments to see the truth, for it is clear. His absence does not prevent decline, but only accelerates it.
John F. Kennedy once said, "Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country." For the world will not always be on your side, and because of that, we must remember to carpe diem while we still can. We can all agree that Albion is a beautiful place, idyllic and interesting. However, some people think that Simon should not have refused to leave Albion, while others think he should have refused to leave. Simon should not have refused to leave Albion for 3 reasons. He's embracing ignorance, he's acting wickedly, and he's escaping responsibility. Simon should not have refused to leave Albion because he's embracing ignorance. Simon had no idea what he was doing when he entered the other world. He had no idea what the consequences would be. But Lewis knows, and we know. If Simon stays in the other world, or even stays there for longer than he already has been, he will destroy it. Nettle said that anything leaking over from our world into theirs, and vice versa, would be catastrophic. He also said that anything which threatens the other world threatens this world. This means that in the process of destroying Albion, Simon will take Earth down with it. Simon proves to all of us that he is choosing to embrace ignorance when he purposefully ignores Lewis's counsel. Think of it like this. We all have younger siblings who have all done many stupid things. When we confront them about their actions with true facts and evidence, they don't refute, they ignore. They walk away without saying anything and pretend you never spoke to them. Why? Because they know that they are wrong and they cannot defend themselves. Simon does a similar thing. Every single time Lewis tries to talk to him about leaving, Simon puts it off. Well, let's go back to the king first. Let's just finish this council first. You just go to warrior school first, and then we'll figure it out. Simon is ignoring the facts presented to him. Simon should not have refused to leave Albion because it is wicked to stay. Wicked in essence, with wicked results. Simon is greedy, evil, and selfish. He is constantly and exclusively working for his own personal gain, regardless of who or what gets hurt in the process. Simon will do whatever it takes to claw his way to the top. This is seen in his actions on Earth and will surely be carried over into Albion. A human, who was never meant to be in Albion in the first place, is now making major changes to many things in there. Government structure, he's obfuscating natural hierarchy like the father-son relationship, life and death. The inhabitants of Albion are not meant to die, unless in wars, which are much more frequent there than in our world. So now we have a power-hungry individual drop into a turbulent society where war is the common answer to disputes and disagreements. It is very likely that Simon will resort to ending lives if that's what it takes. If Simon stays there, wicked things will come. The demons will be released and overrun the other world, and eventually, Earth. Simon should not have refused to leave Albion because he's escaping responsibility. He has a family back on Earth, one who is worried for him and misses him. There are birthday parties that he's missed, his poor grandma. What other things will he miss if he continues to stay in Albion? Weddings? Births? Deaths? As selfish, uncaring, and grandiloquent as he seems, he still cares about people. He took another year of college just so he could keep hanging out with Lewis, who, by the way, was scared, anxious, and losing sleep the entire time that Simon was in Albion while he was on Earth. If Lewis felt that way when Simon was gone, imagine how much worse his family felt. Speaking of family, who was paying for his college classes? His dad. Which would be fine if Simon was actually there taking the classes. He's wasting his dad's money and wasting the college's time and resources. Simon's grades are suffering. He has bills to pay that have been piling up. He is going to have a lot of mess to clean up when he gets back, and he knows it. To avoid responsibility, he is staying in Albion. He is bargaining away his good name, friendship, and any relationship for paradise.
Okay, they might have said that Simon being in Albion might affect Earth because Earth is a shadow of Albion. But it is unlikely that Simon would destroy or even damage both or either world long term. Sin still exists in Albion with or without Simon. He did not bring any technology that would affect the world. He did not introduce guns, tanks, or airplanes that would bring Mors ab alto, death from above. He does not even act much like a modern human. He takes on their ways and learns like the native warriors. He is not contaminating Albion, rather he is being refined and sharpened by it. My opponents may try to obscure the connection between Earth and Albion. Albion and Earth are intertwined together. By this I mean that they are so closely connected that they look one and the same. However, this does not mean that they are the same. Imagine you have two sponges stacked on top of each other. If you pour a small amount of water on the top sponge, the bottom sponge will still remain fairly dry. But if you pour a lot of water on the top sponge, it will seep through and the bottom sponge will get wet. Albion affects Earth when there is a major event, such as a great war, which was already happening. Different tribes were already in the midst of war when Simon arrived. Simon being there did not bring on war. It was going to happen either way. Simon does have friends and family at home who miss him and care for him, but will we ignore the lives of those he has touched in Albion? He has fought alongside the people of Albion and has formed close bonds with those around him. Do those relationships matter less simply because these people are of Albion and not of Earth? He may have missed a couple of birthday parties, but he's trying to save Albion from total destruction. I think that might be a little bit more important. Some may say that Simon is being ignorant, that he does not know anything about this new world or what is in it. But does not all progress first start by jumping into the unknown? If we stayed away from what we do not know, we would not have airplanes, we would not have modern medication, we would not even have America. Albion may be unknown, but that is part of its beauty. It does not make it something to hide away from. Rather, it makes it new and different. It makes it something to be explored and pondered. It makes it something to be embraced, for it is in the unknown that we truly grow. Judges, my opponents may try to obfuscate your knowledge, but it is clear that Albion needs Simon to stay for various reasons. The most prominent are that his choice creates obligation, he was not a bystander, and his absence accelerates decline. Thank you for your time.
My opponent said that Simon being in Albion is not destroying the world. I don't think they read the book properly because it says in the book, Nettles, the really smart guy who knows all about Albion and stuff, says in the book that him opening the wormhole and going into that world is essentially a Celtic wormhole. He opened that, and now he's leaking demons and stuff out of our world. He went to that world just because he stepped into that world. It is essentially destroying our world. He can't, if he leaves, he will save Albion. Leaving is saving Albion. His staying is actually destroying Albion. It says that right in the book. Also, my opponent used a example that Simon was like a guy who, he used an example that Simon had a responsibility. He was like a husband he's getting married, so he takes on responsibility. Simon, a guy who gets married, meets his girlfriend before he gets married. Simon didn't know about this world. He shouldered a responsibility that he didn't calculate. He didn't know he could take on the responsibility. He just walked right in, and he had responsibilities at home that he was doing poorly. And so he took on a new responsibility because he didn't like the one at home. He didn't like it. So he decided that he wanted a new one. He's also, people are saying that it's really much more, it's beautifuler in Albion. He feels fulfilled here. He likes it. It's easier for Simon to be appreciated here. He's made a life here. He made a life in a beautiful world. He left relationships, family, and he traded it all for a paradise. He traded his good name for a paradise. He would rather be the cool guy and live a terrible life than be responsible, go home, help his family get back into his life and do a good job in his life. Then he would rather do that than he would rather live a shallow, poor life in a beautiful world than an honorable life in a shallow one. Thank you.
We have shown that Simon had a responsibility, that he was not a bystander, and that his absence accelerates decline. But this comes down to one final question. What does it truly mean to do the right thing? Simon entered Albion by choice, and we can all agree that choice creates responsibility. Therefore, when Simon entered voluntarily, he placed responsibility upon himself. And leaving would mean abandoning that responsibility. Think of it like this. When you have a child, you take on responsibility, and you're expected to follow through with that obligation. You do not walk away simply because it becomes difficult. He was not a bystander. It is easy for people on the sidelines to point out where someone stumbled. It is easy to judge from the comfort of an armchair, but that is the opposite of what Simon has done. He stepped in. He acted. He followed his conscience instead of ignoring it. He did the right thing. And finally, his absence accelerates decline. Albion is not indestructible. It is fragile. And if Simon were to leave, he would not protect it. He would weaken it. He would accelerate its decline, placing both the world and its people in greater danger. Ladies and gentlemen, true responsibility is not leaving when it is hard. It is knowing when to stay. Simon had a choice. And when responsibility calls, you don't walk away. You remain. Simon should have refused to leave Albion. Thank you.
Simon should not have refused to leave Albion because, by doing so, he is embracing ignorance, he is acting wickedly, and he is escaping responsibility. Simon is not worthy of the responsibility of taking care of Albion. He does not even understand Albion. Not only this, but he has not done an adequate job of taking care of his responsibilities back home in our world. So what makes him think that he can take care of a world that is infinitely more complex? His very presence, not any of his actions even, only his presence is completely destructive. And because of this, his remaining in Albion cannot save Albion, but only further destroy it. This matters to everyone who wants to improve the world surrounding them. Just as Simon's choices are important for the well-being of Albion and our world, our choices also matter, even if sometimes it doesn't seem like they do. Instead of complaining about the world around us, we should do something to improve it. Instead of choosing to ignore the wise counsel of our friends and mentors, as Simon ignored Lewis and Professor Nettles, we can choose the path of integrity and obedience, even when it's hard to leave such a beautiful place. Instead of escaping responsibility, we can face it head on, because the only way past difficulty is through. Thank you.
Okay, now you can clap. Good job, everybody. The judges are going to offer what they think was the weak area and the strong area. I want to say it was really close. They kept going back and forth. But there were 210 possible points. And Kai's team got 180, and Leah's team got 186. So officially, this team wins. Very close, though, right? And unlike some other classes, we did find out who won today, right? So that's something for that. Okay. We try not to mention that very often. Maybe just 2 or 3 times every week. So judges, you want to, why don't we start with you? Would you like to say anything to the teams?
I think that definitely at the very end, the amplification kind of addressed it did a good job addressing the major rebuttals that they had done before that, and it was like a good just way to close it. And I think something that Leah's team could work on, I think one thing that both of them that I was kind of expecting that we did address already was no radio. So like at first it was kind of a little bit, like I could infer most of the knowledge that was needed to be known, but it was a bit difficult to be like, okay, so what happened, who went where, and why are we arguing this? So that would have been.
I should have done that, had done that before the main speaker, so that's on me. But I thought they were good in their speeches, so that's on you. We'll share. How about a week? Is that going to be your weakness, something you can work on?
I think that in the rebuttal, Sophia, there was a very cool thing where you could have said, yeah, I love his analogy where getting married is a very strong reason to want to stay with them, but he was already married to Earth. That's where he's from. So just because he did the equivalent of basically saying hi to a different thing, he was there for a little bit, does that mean he should completely ignore Earth and have an affair with this other place, basically?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I think you got very close to it, but it wasn't.
It's clear.
Yeah.
Did you already give a string for Kai's team?
Not yet. I think that. Also one thing is, I feel like you guys both had very good 3 reasons, but you had them, like Grandma always says, Mrs. Pittman always says that they should be best, least, and then tearjerker. And I think both of you had least, then best. Like I think both of your second reasons were really good, maybe even better than the first, I don't know. But, so they could have gone first.
It's not necessary. So string for Kai's team? Still waiting.
You guys were both.
That was good.
You guys were all very confident. Kai was super confident in the beginning. Beginning of their section, and then Natalia. It didn't even sound like it was like off the cuff, the rebuttal. Like it sounded. It wasn't.
It wasn't.
No.
Well, I mean, she had it prepared, but we don't know what
predicted.
she was going to say, but she
Yeah.
had it written out, which is, it's one choice to make.
But that was super strong. And then one thing, Kai, you started out with like the division where you say everyone can agree. I think it was like, wait, can we all agree that this is this? Because we don't know anything about it yet. But
Again, that's because you didn't know the story, but
Yeah.
that was a good division. Okay, Willa, how about you?
I liked your guys' examples, like how you used the Franklin Roosevelt quote. And then I thought that yours was also very engaging as well
Is there anything they need to work on?
I don't know.
Okay, let's see what Paula, because there were several things you mentioned there that I think they need to hear, but it's probably written down there. They grow from hearing things that bothered you, things that distracted you. Paula, did you want to share what you said distracted you?
Yes, so I feel like Kai was trying to make himself appear more confident, which he did by moving the podium aside. He did give the impression that he was very confident, which he was, but he was moving around, shuffling his feet on the floor to an excessive amount. And I feel like if he would have had the podium or something that was stationary, he could have had himself.
Something that's anchoring me to a specific
You could
area.
have stayed still more.
But I only wanted him to hear that because if you go in your way, you never know who your audience, some of the audience really likes it when you're not staying in one place.
It depends on how you
And
do
this
it.
is his signature
Sometimes it's
move.
really
You can
strong,
move a little, you
sometimes
should
it's
move a
really
little
low.
bit, you shouldn't just like,
But it was very distracting to
Go on.
him, so I wanted you to know at least that there are some, as you consider how to do it. He gave me an example of you throwing the podium, but he doesn't normally do that.
Yeah.
He does. It happens. What about strength?
They were very confident. Like I said, they everything was in extremely good order, and
Very organized.
it was easier to follow, I would say, than
Interesting. So do you have a weakness at all, or is it something you need to work on, either team?
And then for Leah's team, Sophia did stumble on the words a little bit, which I know she probably was working on making up what she was saying, and didn't have a lot of time to practice it, but I feel like she would hesitated several times in what she was saying. I feel she could have just jumped right into it.
Well, the rebuttal is the hardest one, because you don't know what they're going to say, but they have time to think through it. And apparently, you thought through it and got it right what they were going to say, whereas you got really passionate about the book thing, which was true, and it came across, which I think could have been a strength too, but it was also because it was off the cuff. That's normal in a rebuttal, but okay. And one thing that we realized as we were judging is, like, I think we said name speaking was stronger here, but they were so close. The other rebuttal was stronger there. The final speaker, you know, like it was back and forth the whole time. This is the thing about a team, is that you have to work together and you made your best, and you know, it's good. It's a good life lesson. Okay, well, thank you. We'll talk about this next week when we get together, and don't forget to check your homework.